Namaskar and welcome to World Today. Well, Kushinagar, an important destination on the Buddhist circuit, has a new international airport. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the Kushinagar airport in Uttar Pradesh, and he highlighted that the special attention that's been given to Buddhist devotees is a priority for both the central and the UP governments. So this airport, it will develop the economy of the region, it will accelerate job creation and growth as well. That's our main story today in World Today. Let's begin with the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates the Kushinagar International Airport in Uttar Pradesh and says that the land that witnessed the journey of Buddha from attaining knowledge to gaining Mahaparinirvana is connected with the world. The world battles COVID-19. Russia's daily COVID-19 deaths and new cases hit a new record high. It proposes to shut workplaces for a week at the start of November. In India, over 99.54 crore doses of COVID vaccine have been administered so far, and the recovery rate stands at 98.14%. North Korea confirms a successful submarine launch missile test. Pyongyang describes it as the world's most powerful weapon. And this comes, in fact, weeks after South Korea had unveiled a similar weapon of its own. In the Champions League, 2 goals from Mohamed Salah helped Liverpool beat Atletico Madrid. A third win for Liverpool. Manchester City beat Club Brugge, and Paris Saint-Germain beat RB Leipzig 3-2 in a thrilling match. So let's begin with the big news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the Kushinagar International Airport today, and it's been built at an estimated cost of 260 crore rupees. It will facilitate domestic and international pilgrims to visit the Mahaparinirvana Sthal of Lord Buddha, and is an endeavor also to connect the Buddhist pilgrimage holy sites around the world. It has added a historic chapter in the civil aviation history of Uttar Pradesh.
भगवान बुद्ध से जुड़े स्थानों को विकसित करने के लिए, बेहतर कनेक्टिविटी के लिए, श्रद्धालुओं की सुविधा के निर्माण पर भारत द्वारा आज विशेष ध्यान दिया जा रहा है। भगवान बुद्ध की जन्मस्थली लुम्बिनी यहां से बहुत दूर नहीं है। कपिलवस्तु भी बिल्कुल पास में ही है। भगवान बुद्ध ने जहां पहला उपदेश दिया, वो सारनाथ की भूमि भी 100-250 किलोमीटर के दायरे में ही आ जाती है। जहां बुद्ध को ज्ञान प्राप्त हुआ, वो बोध गया भी कुछ ही घंटों की दूरी पर है। ऐसे में एक क्षेत्र सिर्फ भारत के ही बौद्ध अनुयायियों के लिए ही नहीं, बल्कि श्रीलंका, थाईलैंड, सिंगापुर, लाओस, कंबोडिया, जापान, कोरिया, ऐसे अनेकों देशों के नागरिकों के लिए भी एक बहुत बड़ा श्रद्धा का और आकर्षण का केंद्र बनने जा रहा है।
Well, the airport will serve nearby districts of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, and it's an important step in boosting investment as well and employment opportunities in the region.
कुशीनगर इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट सिर्फ एयर कनेक्टिविटी का ही एक माध्यम नहीं बनेगा, बल्कि इसके बनने से किसान हो, पशुपालक हो, दुकानदार हो, श्रमिक हो, यहां के उद्यमी हो, सभी को इसका सीधा सीधा लाभ मिलता ही है। इससे व्यापार कारोबार का एक पूरा इकोसिस्टम यहां विकसित होगा। इससे इस क्षेत्र के युवाओं के लिए रोजगार के भी अनेक नए अवसर बनेंगे।
Prime Minister also highlighted the achievements under the UDAN scheme, and he said that it's given wings to the civil aviation sector across the country.
भारत में हो रहे इन निरंतर रिफॉर्म्स का ही परिणाम है कि भारतीय सिविल एविएशन सेक्टर में 1000 नए विमान जुड़ने का अनुमान लगाया गया है। उड़ान योजना के तहत बीते सालों में 900 से अधिक नए रूट्स को स्वीकृति दी जा चुकी है। इनमें से 350 से अधिक पर हवाई सेवा शुरू भी हो चुकी है। 50 से अधिक नए एयरपोर्ट या जो पहले सेवा में नहीं थे उनको चालू किया जा चुका है। आने वाले 3-4 सालों में कोशिश ये है कि देश में 200 से अधिक एयरपोर्ट, हेलीपोर्ट और सी प्लेन की सेवा देने वाले वाटर ड्रोन का नेटवर्क भी देश में तैयार हो।
Well, the first international flight that came in today to Kushinagar came in from Sri Lanka, and on board were 120 monks, and with them they also carried the Vaskaduva relic of Lord Buddha, which is going to be exhibited there, which is an exposition which will take place for a few days, and then it will be returned back to Sri Lanka. So what is this relic of Lord Buddha? It was excavated in 1898 by the Archaeological Survey of India at that time, and they had found a large mound which was really a stupa, and this happened to be on the estate of one British gentleman by the name of William Claxton Pepe, and this happened in Piprahwa in Uttar Pradesh at that time. So the excavation site is about 160 kilometers from Kushinagar, and they found within that a big stone box, and it had some caskets in it, and on one of the caskets was written these words, which were inscribed in Sanskrit at the time, but it said, this noble deed of depositing of the Buddha's relics were carried out by the brothers and sisters and children of Sakyas. So at the time, in 1898, one of those who was doing the excavation was the Venerable Sri Subhuti Mahanayake Thiro. This was of the Vaskaduva temple of Sri Lanka. They had helped the Archaeological Survey team at that time. So these relics are now accepted as the real relics of Lord Buddha. That is, the real relics are either bone fragments, ashes, pieces of jewels of the Buddha. But part of those caskets, part was sent to the King of Thailand, another part was sent to the King of Burma, or Myanmar as it's now known, and Pepe, who was the owner of the land at that time, whose estate it was, he handed over another part of the relics as a token of gratitude to the most venerable Sri Subhuti Mahanayake Thiro, and Thiro took that back with him to Sri Lanka. So the part of those relics embedded in these 3 lotuses, as we see here, they are now back. They've been brought back, the 3 small lotuses encased in the crystal ball. They're fixed on a wooden base stand, and they've been brought to Kushinagar for a public exhibition, and once that exposition is over, they shall be returned back to Sri Lanka. So that is the story about the relics. Now, the inauguration of the international airport by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Kushinagar, it marks an important day. This is the Abhidhamma Day, which is the Abhidhamma Divas. So it happens on a full moon day. It commemorates Lord Buddha's descent from Tushita, and the exposition of the holy Buddha relics also is taking place on that day. So it's very, in a sense, it's very auspicious. And in an exclusive interview with DD India, the Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla said that the day would further strengthen our ties not only in the neighborhood but also in the extended neighborhood.
Representatives of 12 countries have witnessed this historic occasion. How do you feel about it?
Well, today, as you say, is a very historic day. It is the inauguration of the Kushinagar airport, but also a celebration of the Abhidhamma Day, which was presided over by Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. We had a very important delegation from Sri Lanka. We had the Minister of Youth and Sports, Shri Namal Rajpakse, along with a number of other cabinet ministers of Sri Lanka, and a 100-member delegation of senior monks from Sri Lanka who had come in. They also carried with them the Vaskaduga relics of Lord Buddha, which is there in the Vaskaduga monastery in Sri Lanka. These are very sacred relics which actually are part of the Kapilvastu relics, and to bring them to Kushinagar, which is the area, which is the place where Lord Buddha attained Mahaparinirvan, is, I think, very, very symbolic. Today is also full moon day, so from a Buddhist point of view, it is a Buddha Purnima occasion, and so every important aspect and auspicious aspect of this event, I think, has to be kept in mind and noted as being very relevant to the ceremony today. We were also very happy that as many as 12 ambassadors and representatives of Buddhist countries from our neighborhood, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, from our extended neighborhood, from Thailand, Vietnam, Singapore, Mongolia, Republic of Korea, but also Japan, and Laos and Cambodia attended this ceremony. I think all of them felt that this is an important occasion because it also not only demonstrated the links between India and the bridge of Buddhism between India and the rest of the world, but also enabled easy access for Buddhist pilgrims, tourists from all over the world to come directly to Kushinagar, which is one of the most important sites of Buddhism, as I said, where Lord Buddha attained Mahaparinirvan. So it's I think a historic and auspicious occasion, and all of those who are here, from the Sri Lankan delegation to the foreign ambassadors, have been very, very honored to have been part of this event.
How crucial is today's day as far as strengthening the diplomatic ties with our neighboring countries and also in the extended neighborhood?
Well, it's a very important day from the point of view that India is the land of Lord Buddha, the land of Buddhism. Honorable Prime Minister in his speech mentioned that for every Buddhist living outside India, it is always a desire to come to India and visit the sites that have been associated with Lord Buddha. I think Minister Kiren Rijiju also mentioned that in his speech. And what we are doing is, by commemorating this day, we are actually felicitating that link of Buddhism between India and Southeast Asia and the rest of the world. And I think that's very significant.
So there you have the Foreign Secretary. He makes it very clear that today's day will mark an important chapter as far as strengthening the bilateral ties with Cameraman Jaishankar in Kushinagar. This is Vishal Benisto, India.
So we have with us Suresh Kumar Goyal, former Director General of the Indian Council of Cultural Relations and former Secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs. Thank you, Ambassador Goyal, for being with us. So cultural diplomacy is highlighting India's soft power, but it is also very significant from the point of view of the kind of reverence that one gives to culture, and we can see that especially when religion is involved. And the Buddhist circuit, we saw today that when the relics were coming, they were treated like a state guest. So can you throw a little light on how important this is?
You are absolutely right. First of all, in relations between the various countries, in bilateral relations or in multilateral relations, culture does play an important role, because culture has the effect of establishing an understanding between different cultures, different civilizations, different societies on the basis of commonalities of culture or the cultural values they share. And in that sense, the Buddhism plays a very important role, not just between India and South Asia. For example, Sri Lanka is a Buddhist majority country, Myanmar, Nepal, Bhutan, as well as Southeast Asia. Thailand, Myanmar, practically all the countries in Southeast Asia have a large number of Buddhist following community. And in the recent past, over the last couple of decades, Buddhism actually has become popular even in the European countries, and there are many people who are now followers of Buddhism. And therefore, establishing the Buddhist circuit of creating facilities for the people who want to come on pilgrimage, for Buddhist pilgrimage to India, these facilities, particularly the facilities like Kushinagar Airport, which will make it easier for them to access or to reach Bodh Gaya, which is the main center for the Buddhism, will be very, very useful. And therefore, I think the efforts being now made to establish a Buddhist circuit, to work on developing facilities for the Buddhist pilgrims are very welcome, and they will contribute significantly to the cultural diplomacy efforts of India.
Ambassador Goel, so we do know Southeast Asia, even we can go as far to Japan, and so the spread of Buddhism from India has been huge, but the language barrier now at this time, would you say that that may be something that we need to develop a little bit of, so that the cultural ties can actually be strengthened once perhaps on this circuit, perhaps we can speak some of their languages?
Yes. Normally, I would say that for the cultural diplomacy, the language is not a barrier, because when you listen to the music or you share the dance performances, when you share the traditions and the values, normally the language should not prove to be a barrier. And similarly, in the case of Buddhism, I will not say language will be a barrier, but when people are coming to India to travel to different places on the Buddhist route, they certainly would be happier if they do not face language difficulties in the common useful communications. For example, they want to go to the market, they want to find a way out, they want to engage a taxi, they want to engage a guide who can speak their language. And therefore, yes, you are absolutely right. Developing people who have a knowledge of the language of the country from where the pilgrims and the tourists are coming will be very useful. In that sense, the efforts and the thrust has to be same for any tourist kind of a project, where sharing the language facilitates the travel and facilitates the other things for pilgrims here. So yes, knowing the language would be very useful and must be cultivated.
So prior to COVID, in fact, the number of Buddhist pilgrims had significantly increased up to earlier 2019. It had moved from about 2 or 3 lakhs a year to about 12 or 13 lakhs in each of these places. So the circuit is obviously doing really well, and it has the potential to pick up now, because we have an international airport both at Bodh Gaya as well as now in Kushinagar. And as the Prime Minister was saying, I mean, each of these places is close enough, to so that people can move from one place and they can finish the entire circuit and have that whole religious and spiritual and cultural experience. What would you think? I mean, speaking from the cultural point of view, and also developing an ecosystem which would help the economy, how would you see this developing?
I think what we need to do is, as I think I mentioned earlier, that we need to treat this project as a tourist project, basically, where people arriving from different countries are able to have facilities in terms of travel, accommodation, finding the good guides and all those things.
Yes.
And so we need to really do 3 or 4 things, like for any tourist project, as our Department of Tourism we would know. Number 1, world-class travel facilities, which include the airport buildings, the air connections from the airport to get to say Bodh Gaya or to the other points of like Ranchi, if they want to travel to Ranchi. The surface travel routes, good connections, good roads that can be built. And number three, accommodation. It's very important that they have reasonable hotel facilities, good class, clean facilities, international, which they can use, and the language. So I think combination of these four, and lastly, but most importantly, they are coming for this particular project, they are coming for Buddhist pilgrimage.
Yes.
And therefore, developing a kind of cultural milieu where they can become more familiar with the Buddhism in India. They can performances, for example, based on
Yes.
Buddhism. They can have Indian cultural performances wherever they're living, so that it becomes a total immersive experience for them in Indian culture and the Buddhist culture.
So this immersive experience is very well put, because today when the relics came over, so there was an immersive experience in the exposition, and we can see that, you know, the sharing of this idea. I mean, if the relics from here can go once again, you know, to let's say back to Sri Lanka, or there are from other parts, there's also a part of the relics in Thailand. So if they can keep moving to different places, and you know, and a certain kind of a ceremony is built around that, that itself will lead to, you know, some sort of an immersive experience and cultural tourism.
Absolutely. That's a kind of a thing which will build goodwill for India, which will build the totality of experience, which is important, that they should, when they go back from the country, they are going happy, they are going satisfied that they have been able to, you know, mind you, just like any pilgrimage, when people come, they want a life kind of an experience.
Yes.
And to be able to say that, yes, I have done the pilgrimage to Bodh Gaya, I have done the Buddhist pilgrimage. So we have to make sure that the people who come, relics is one part of it. But I would also like to mention here that just like any other historical heritage, relics are very, very precious. And therefore they need to be, you know, the movement is very, very has to be done very carefully, so that there is no damage to it.
Right.
You know, there's a whole lot of things, therefore it can't be done all the time.
Right.
It may happen twice, but it can't happen all the time. So the Buddhist circuit has to devolve, or in fact revolve around not just relics, but around what India can offer in terms of a sustainable basis, sustainable pilgrimage experience, and a sustainable tourist experience.
Indeed. You know, once this experience, you did say it's primarily Buddhist, but the point is that India has a lot more to offer as well. So you see, so when one comes, okay, you can put the Buddhist experience up front, but experience the rest of India as well, you know, the incredible India. So that is also significant, and that also should be in some way promoted through this, isn't it?
Absolutely. I remember that when I was DG ICCR, we done a choreography of how Buddha achieved nirvana, and we have done a choreography in Odissi, which was sent to Sri Lanka, and that was highly appreciated by people in Sri Lanka. Therefore, you know, so many more things can be done which combine Indian cultural paradigm, Indian cultural performances with the values of the Buddhism. And yes, and therefore, you know, there is so much that can be done. It is just a beginning.
Okay, we also know that China is a communist country, but it is embeddedly largely Buddhist. So, you know, over time, let's say, I mean, you know, in the distant future, as things develop on the Buddhist circuit, and already, you know, Chinese pilgrims are coming over, they are interested in the Buddhist circuit. So would you see this as, you know, some sort of a linkage that can help, you know, strengthen ties between the two countries, as it has happened in the ancient past as well?
I would like to offer an alternative narrative also here.
Okay.
Such the Buddhism does make a connection between India and China.
What about Tibet? Yeah.
Remember that the Buddhism has not been able to overcome the feeling of contest or the differences between India and China. The differences are much more substantial, substantive than what Buddhism can bridge. I'm saying it because I'm a diplomat and therefore we need to understand the reality. Therefore, while we have to make all efforts to use our cultural diplomacy to make those connections again between India and China, we must remember that cultural diplomacy cannot always overcome all the differences. Number two, I know for a fact that China also is attempting to use Buddhism as a kind of soft power in Southeast Asia. Therefore, developing the Buddhist circuit in India is also quite likely to generate that sense of competition in China, and they will also try to use Buddhism. In fact, I have already mentioned once that China has the largest number of Buddhists. So, and they encouraged one country to say that the Buddha was not born in India.
Okay.
Buddhism was born somewhere else. Therefore, Buddha was born somewhere else. Therefore, we have to be prepared that there could be a sense of competition from our great neighbor to the north.
Okay.
And be prepared for it and deal with it in a professional manner.
We'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Ambassador Goyal, for helping us understand the importance of the cultural aspect of today's opening of the Kushinagar airport and what it's going to do to the Buddhist circuit. Moving on to our next story, in fact the same story, the Sri Lankan minister who came with those relics, Namal Rajapaksa, he landed in Kushinagar with that 125-member delegation which they came directly from Colombo to Kushinagar, and around 100 monks accompanied him carrying Buddhist relics, as we said. So he spoke exclusively to DD India and he highlighted the common vision that the leadership of both countries share, and this common vision. He thanked the Prime Minister for 15 million grant to Sri Lanka for the development of Buddhist sites.
How important is this occasion for you?
Well, I mean, the relationship between India and Sri Lanka is very strong. And also we believe the Kushinagar, where we believe Parinirvana of Lord Buddha took place, is a very important and symbolic state or a city for the Buddhist pilgrims, not only from Sri Lanka but all over the world. And it's a great honor for us for myself and my delegation to be on the first inaugural flight to land at the Kushinagar International Airport. Having direct access to cities like Kushinagar, will always be a helping hand for tourism. Definitely support the industry, tourism industry, and to make it to make it reality that the vision of Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This visit has a couple of state ministers and 100 Buddhist clergy, senior Buddhist monks represent coming all the way from Sri Lanka. It shows how deep the relationship is when it comes to religion and culture, and also the people-to-people relationship between our two countries. So, and also the both leaders, Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi, and also the President of Sri Lanka, Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa, they both share the common vision of people-centric development. So we believe this visit will enhance that people-to-people relationship and strengthen give more strength to the bilateral relationship in coming years.
So since Sri Lanka was the first country where ambassadors from Emperor Ashoka, his children, had gone to spread the word of Lord Buddha, how important is the preaching of Lord Buddha?
Well, I mean, the Buddhism, the greatest gift that Sri Lanka has ever got from India. And we believe that that has changed our culture and taught us a peaceful way of life. So we believe now with the pandemic, the COVID-19 situation, everyone has realized, how challenging life is going to be, and it's not the comfortable life that we used to have. So things have changed, and we have to adapt to a new normal lifestyle.
So there you heard the Lankan minister. He says that this opening of the international airport in Kushinagar will go a long way, not only in strengthening the ties between India and Sri Lanka, but also will have a multiplier effect on the hospitality and aviation and tourism industry. With cameraman Jaishankar, this is Vishal Baristo, DD News, Kushinagar.
So Vishal Baristo was quite busy there, and he also spoke to the ambassador of Cambodia, Hung Shan, and this is about the international airport, and he said that it will boost Buddhist tourism from Cambodia as well. And the ambassador said that the Cambodians have already They already have a temple here, and the place itself has a beautiful landscape, and he further said that many Cambodians would like to visit this place.
Now we have the ambassador from Cambodia. Let's talk to him and find out especially about this historic day. So it's quite a historic day, and since you have come here in Kushinagar, first of all, what is your feeling about the place, and how do you think that Kushinagar can play a key role in strengthening the bilateral ties between the two countries?
I feel very happy to be in Kushinagar because, Buddhists in Cambodia is the Buddhist is a religion of the state, and around 90% of Cambodian people practice Buddhism. Every year before COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of Cambodia pilgrims come to pay tribute, not only in Kushinagar, but in Varanasi, in Saravati, in Bodh We also have our Cambodian temple here. I just met our monk here. So I think that by the inauguration of the new airport of Kushinagar, maybe the connectivity between the two countries continue to further promote in terms of tourism, culture, and religion.
So do you think that more tourists can now have access to Kushinagar with this international airport coming up?
Sure, I can assure you that after post-COVID-19, many Cambodians would like to come here. The Buddha land here. I hope that during the post-COVID, we will bring more Cambodia Buddhist pilgrims to visit Kushinagar.
So there you are, the ambassador from Cambodia. He hopes and he is very much sure that after the pandemic is over, definitely there is going to be a big rise in the tourist influx from his country.
Well, India and Japan have always had good relations. There are good bonds between the two countries. And speaking to DD India, Toshihide Ando, who's the Minister and Deputy Chief of Mission of Japan in India, he said that Japan is very happy to see Kushinagar on the global map.
India and Japan have always had a very strong bondage between themselves. And I have with me the Deputy Chief of Mission. Let's talk to him and find out. Sir, first of all, welcome on DD News and welcome to India. Last time it was Varanasi when the Prime Minister inaugurated that convention center. It was built with the Japanese help, and today is Kushinagar. So how's the feeling?
Well, I'm pleased today to attend, to be here at the, and I'd like to congratulate, first of all, the launch of the international Kushinagar International Airport. I hope that this will help more tourism from India and to Japan and other countries. We understand that we are in a difficult period of times right now. You know, we are in the midst of COVID-19, but we are hopeful that the infrastructure development, including the new international airport, will help us boost tourism and other interactions between Japan and India.
So Vishal Barrister also had an exclusive conversation with the Ambassador of Bhutan, Major General Vetsop Namgyel, and he described the inauguration of the Kushinagar Airport as a massive boon to tourism and to the Buddhist circuit.
It's a big day for Kushinagar, and I have with me Major General Namgyal, who is diplomat from Bhutan. Let's talk to him and find out. General Namgyal, India and Bhutan share a very special relationship. Now in that context, how would Kushinagar play a key role?
Well, as we all know, Kushinagar is the sacred place where Lord Buddha entered into paranirvana. And for all Buddhists, and especially Buddhists in Bhutan, Kushinagar is a very sacred pilgrimage destination. And we already have an international airport in Bodh Gaya. Now when you have an international airport at Kushinagar, this makes it even more convenient to complete the Buddhist circuit in a quicker way. And so I would say that this is a very important development, not only for Kushinagar, the UP, Gorakhpur, but also for friendly neighbors and Buddhist country like Bhutan and all other Buddhist countries. The opening of this international airport, I think, is a very good way of increasing the connectivity.
This airport can also play a big role in promoting tourism and also the hospitality industry between the two countries.
The number of tourists coming to Kushinagar would increase. Bodh Gaya, already everybody used to go to Bodh Gaya. Sarnath and Varanasi was also having airports, so it's internationally connected. But Kushinagar has not had an international airport for a long time. And once you have an international airport, the tourism sector will automatically pick up. Hotels will come up, tour operators will plan the Buddhist circuit, and so it will have a good impact on the tourism industry, both in Bhutan and in India.
Now you have General Ngal, he says that the international airport would definitely promote the Buddhist circuit, but also would promote tourism between Bhutan and India.
And the ambassador of Thailand, Patara Thongstong, says that the Kushinagar lies at the heart. I beg your pardon. That Kushinagar lies at the heart of the people of Thailand, and the ambassador hopes that after the inauguration, both the countries can boost the trade ties as well.
A very big day as far as Kushinagar is concerned, because now an international flight you have a direct access. So how do you feel about it, especially the relations between India and Thailand, and how can Kushinagar play a key role?
Actually, Kushinagar is already a place that, in the heart of Thai people, since we are mainly Buddhist, and they like to come to Kushinagar as part of the Buddhist circuit. Even, long times ago. Last year, before COVID-19, we already have about 100,000 Thai coming to India, and most of them come to Buddhist circuit, including Kushinagar. So definitely, having the international flight, and maybe in the future direct flight between Thailand and Kushinagar will be very helpful and facilitate the numbers of the Thai tourists coming here, I'm sure for that. And in the future, we hope that we would be able to increase not only on the tourism, but maybe on the trade and also on the other connectivities like investment in UP as well as in Kushinagar. So we're having the international flight.
So there you have the ambassador from Thailand. Kushinagar can play a key role not only developing the Buddhist circuit, but also strengthening the bilateral relationships.
So, in an exclusive conversation with DD India, the Deputy High Commissioner of Singapore, Alice Cheng, expects that the pandemic situation will settle down soon, and she also said that Kushinagar International Airport will play a key role in promoting the Buddhist circuit.
How do you see the bond between Singapore and India growing?
I think Singapore has a significant Buddhist population, and of course India is the birthplace of Buddhism. So having an international airport will definitely aid in the ease of Buddhist pilgrims from Singapore wanting to come to India, and to Kushinagar in particular and UP to do the Buddhist trail. I think it is a very moving experience for Buddhists to come to the birthplace of Lord Buddha, and we hope that with this new airport, more of our pilgrims will have easier access to India and to UP.
This airport is also going to have a multiplier effect, especially for the hospitality industry, for the aviation industry. Singapore as a leader in this region. So what do you say on that?
I think the key for tourism is always connectivity. Once you have connectivity, it will make it much easier for the tourism industry to look at Kushinagar and look at the other places on the Buddhist circuit a bit closer.
And how do you see the rise in tourism, especially those coming from Singapore, because Kushinagar is an important sacred destination as far as Buddhist circuit is concerned?
I think unfortunately we're still in COVID times, so hopefully post-COVID people will be looking to places that will fulfill them spiritually more. And of course, besides the Buddhist pilgrims, I think other tourists will also be interested to knowing more about the sacred history in Kushinagar and the Buddhist circuit.
So there you heard the Deputy High Commissioner from Singapore. She hopes that post-COVID times there would be a big influx of tourists from Singapore.
Well, the ambassador of Vietnam, Pham San Chau, has been a frequent visitor to Kushinagar, and in an exclusive interview to our channel, he said that there has been a sea change. He said there's been a sea change in the infrastructure since he first visited.
I have with me the ambassador from Vietnam. Let's talk to him and find out. Sir, first of all, how's the feeling when you are here in Kushinagar, a very, very sacred place?
I feel very peaceful, very secure, and very tranquil in mind and heart. This is not my first trip to Kushinagar. This is my third trip. And this is a very well-known religious destination for Vietnamese Buddhists.
So since this is your third visit, how do you see things, how do you see the change that Kushinagar has seen, especially after this international airport coming up?
2 years ago, when I first visited this place, I heard about this project of building a new terminal for the international airport, and now that project has come to be a reality. I would like to congratulate the government of India and the government of UP for this successful project. I think it is very meaningful in many, many ways. Number one, it will help to develop tourism in this part of India. Number two, it will promote more tourists coming from not only Vietnam but different countries to this place. And through that, that will enhance the better understanding of Indian culture, Indian people, and especially Buddhism, which was born from India. And number three, that will also boost development in this part as tourists is coming in.
Well, the Prime Minister has interacted with top oil and natural gas CEOs, and these are visuals that we have. They are coming in a show. This is news that's just coming in, as we can see there. So the Prime Minister has been interacting with oil and gas CEOs from oil and gas companies. Arun Sharma is joining us on the phone line with further inputs on this story. Arun, energy important as always, but oil and gas, you know, from that point of view, because oil and gas is considered you know, to create a carbon footprint. So in that context, especially coming with a few days before COP26, what's the significance of this meeting?
Absolutely, Mark. Now, this is the sixth such annual interaction. You know, now this interaction began in 2016, and it marks the participation of global leaders in the oil and gas sector. Now, when we talk about the deliberations upon the key issues of the sector, the idea is to explore potential areas of collaboration and investment in India. So how can primarily the big oil and gas company can come and invest in India and come up with some innovative technologies whereby, you know, we don't compromise with the environment? That's the basic focus area of this meeting. Now, when we talk about this broad theme of this interaction, the broad theme of this interaction is on promotion of clean growth and sustainability. Now, you know, also the fact is that the interaction focuses on areas like encouraging exploration and production in hydrocarbon sector in India, and how can India become energy independent or Atmanirbhar in the gas-based economy. So as of now, Mark, we have close to 2,200, or you can say 2,500 approximately CNG stations all across the country. Yeah. The idea of, you know, basic idea is to upgrade this capacity to 10,000 CNG stations in next 7 to 8 years. So, you know, we are upgrading from one energy resources to another energy resource or the energy area. So right now we are on petrol and diesel. So now we are gradually upgrading our infrastructure on the gas-based economy, and of course from there we are also moving towards electric vehicles and electric infrastructure. So in that context, it's a gradual transfer, or you can say a gradual upgradation from one energy another energy. So yes, 10,000 gas stations to be opened up in in coming years. So in that context, this meeting is going to be very much important. And of course, the focus is also in the biofuels area. So how can enhancement of biofuels production and waste to wealth creation can be done? That is also the focus area of this important meeting. Green hydrogen economy, because we know this fact that soon we'll be having hydrogen policy, and of course in that context this meeting is going to be, or this meeting perhaps is very important.
So we're already in Bharat stage 6, Arun, and in that context the importance of fuel efficiency is extremely important for the environment. I mean, and moving towards getting as much out of every single liter of the fuel that is burnt, so that there is less fuel that's burnt at the end of the day.
And also, the government has also made an announcement, and as far as ethanol blending is concerned, up to 20% of ethanol blending will be done as far as the fuels in our cars and vehicles are concerned. So in that context, the primary idea is that how can global CEOs and the global big energy giants that are looking for investment, and India is that top lucrative destination at this point in time, which is providing economic land bank to these big corporate players, because energy requirement is such that we cannot immediately shift our requirement or dependence on green energy completely. It's a gradual transmission, or it's a gradual upgradation primarily. So yes, gradually we are upgrading ourselves, our infrastructure in a manner that 20% ethanol blending can be done, which will again be yeah, that's right. So in that context, this meeting is very important.
We'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Arun Sharma, for those inputs. Now, moving on then to our next story. News about the Cumbre Vieja volcano. And we know that the National Geographic's Volcano Monitoring Department has said that the eruption is unlikely to stop. And this is for another week at least. Already about 800 hectares of land and about 2,000 buildings have been destroyed by the lava. Let's take a look at the situation in La Palma.
The worries for the people on Spain's La Palma island are far from over. In fact, the situation on the island is worsening with each passing day. The eruptions, which have disrupted lives of thousands, is not showing any signs of stopping. Amid this, Spanish volcano experts have said that the Cumbre Vieja volcanic eruption is unlikely to stop. The National Geographic Institute's Volcano Monitoring Department said that the eruption is unlikely to stop for at least another week, but there was no way to predict how long it would last. Streams of red-hot lava have engulfed almost 800 hectares of land, destroying about 2,000 buildings and many banana plantations since the eruption started on September 19th. The eruption has prompted over 6,000 people to leave their homes. The volcano that is spewing ash and lava is also impacting the atmosphere of the Canary Islands, so much so that the residents of the island have now resorted to umbrellas and goggles in a bid to protect themselves from the falling ash. Ashes have covered the streets, homes and plantations in the region. Distraught and dejected, residents have now resorted to prayers. Several La Palma residents converged in El Paso municipality to pray for Cumbre Vieja volcano to stop after a month of eruptions. The worshippers carrying Virgin del Pino image prayed for the volcano to stop devastating the island. Other processions were held in Tijerazo and Santa Cruz de La Palma. Meanwhile, some respite has come for people in India's Uttarakhand, where rainfall has slowed down. However, the death toll in rain-related incidents in the state has grown to 46. Relief and rescue operations are going on in full swing in the affected areas of the state. But the situation is likely to remain grim in Kerala. The government has already started evacuating people from landslide-prone areas. People in other parts of the world are also facing the wrath of climate change, which is triggering natural calamities worldwide. In Australia, record-sized hail hammered parts of Queensland recently as a storm swept across the Australian state. A spokesperson from the Australian Bureau of Meteorology said hailstones measuring 6.2 inches were found, breaking the existing Australian record of 5.5 inches. Amid all this, the United Nations Climate Agency recently warned that Africa's fabled eastern glaciers will vanish in 2 decades and climate change could shave 3% off the continental GDP by mid-century. The report released by the World Meteorological Organization, partnered with African Union agencies, said that over 118 million poor people could face imminent drought, floods, or extreme heat. Africa, which accounts for less than 4% of greenhouse gas emissions, has long been expected to be severely impacted by climate change. Climate change concerns all. It is a real threat to humanity. It has long been an issue for people and world leaders and is likely to be discussed during the COP26 meeting as well. World Today Desk, DD India.
So let's take a look at news at a glance.
In Australia, commuter train partly derailed after hitting a van abandoned on tracks near Sydney. The 4-car train hit the vehicle near Wollongong, about 90 kilometers south of Sydney, knocking the front carriage onto its side and tilting the second carriage. The train driver was released by firefighters and taken to hospital along with a guard and 2 of the train's 9 passengers. Police set up a crime scene after a person was reported running away from the scene. It was not known how long the van had been parked on the tracks. In the United States, at least 1 person injured in a plane crash at Texas's Waller County. The plane was carrying 21 people when it crashed near airport runways at Houston Executive Airport. The Federal Aviation Administration said that the plane rode through a fence and caught fire in a field while attempting to depart, leaving a smoldering debris field. It said the National Transportation Safety Board and the FAA will investigate the crash. In Peru, local authorities in Peruvian Huaraz municipality were seen using water cannons in a bid to remove street vendors from sidewalk. In videos released by the local authorities, police are seen on top of a water truck using hoses to spray the street vendors. Some angry people were seen yelling at the police and trying to climb the truck. World Today Desk, DD India.
Time now to turn the pages of history and take a look at the major events that took place in our world on this day in history.
On this day in the year 1944, the Russian and Yugoslav forces captured Belgrade from German forces during Second World War. In 1967, on this day, the biggest demonstration involving 4,000 people against American involvement in the Vietnam War had taken place in the town of Oakland in California. On this day in 1973, the spiritual leader of Tibetan Buddhists, Dalai Lama, arrived in Britain to administer vows to people. It was the first time he had been to the UK. It was on this day in the year 1973 when Australian culture reached a remarkable milestone as the Sydney Opera House, designed by Danish architect John Utzon, was formally opened by Queen Elizabeth II. On 20th October 1986, Likud party leader Yitzhak Shamir took over as Israeli Prime Minister from Labour's Shimon Peres under a 1984 power-sharing agreement. On this day in 2011, ousted Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi was captured and killed during the Battle of Sirte. On this day in the year 2020, the United States Justice Department sued Google for illegal monopoly over search and search advertising. World Today Desk, DD India.
Well, that's the world today. Thank you very much for watching. Namaskar.